Welcome into a brand new episode of Strange Encounters. I'm your host, Rick Burgess. If you're joining us for the very first time, Strange Encounters is a podcast devoted to the supernatural, but maybe not in the traditional sense. What we're dealing with are angels and demons, and anything here that deals with the supernatural. We're going to look at it through a lens of what we believe to be the inerrant, God-inspired Holy Bible. What has God said and revealed about this world of angels and demons? And it's enough there. If you are intrigued with the supernatural, the Bible has plenty. We certainly don't need to spend time on these other myths and legends. Let's talk about what those of us of the Christian faith, and you may not be of that faith, this is what we believe to be true. And it is going on in dimensions all around us according to Scripture. And we've talked about some of that in prior episodes. If you want to go catch that, there are 20 other episodes as of the time of this recording this, and then we continue to add more. Today, and what we intend to do is this. We intend to give you information about the supernatural. We want to educate you on the supernatural, dealing with angels and demons. Now, let me tell you what we can give opinions. We will give speculation. We'll always acknowledge that we're speculating, if we are. We don't apologize for Scripture. We don't really entertain thoughts outside of that. However, here's what we're not intending to do. We are not here trying to tell you what to do. These are decisions that ultimately you need to gather information and make these decisions for yourself. I may give warnings. I may give an opinion on whether I think something is something to be concerned about or not. But ultimately, we're not the thought police. We're not here to say this is what you have to do or should do. You have to make those decisions for yourself. Here's what we're hoping, that if you leave our podcast when you make these decisions in your life of things you should associate with, things that should be in your home, things that you should be seeing, things that you should be hearing, and also protecting your children. Today, that will be a big topic on things that may potentially be dangerous for them. But we're not going to make that decision for you. You're going to have to make that decision. And here's one thing I know, because today we're going to concentrate on something that's involving our children. And these are the most difficult, especially when something becomes trendy and popular. I am the father of 5, so I understand this completely. And I will say what I hope you already know if you are a parent. If you want to parent and you want to parent well, it is extremely difficult. Now, it's not that difficult just to sit back and let your kids do whatever they want to do and try to be liked. That's a huge mistake, but it's not as difficult. But when you have to make tough decisions because they're not capable to making these decisions on their own, we've talked about things like you may choose, like our family did, not to participate in Halloween. That's hard parenting because your kids see other kids doing it, and they obviously want to do it too. And sometimes things are fun, but maybe they're detrimental. There's a lot of things that are fun that may be detrimental. And sometimes these are hard decisions. Today's going to be another one of those. I'll tell you that before we even get started. And it's going to deal with this 6-7 thing that has kind of taken over, unfortunately, small children. Not as much, I mean, young adults, yes, but small children are really, really into this 6-7, and they're all doing this. Now, the first time I saw it, all my kids are grown, so I'm not really in this world. But the first time that I saw it, I'm just going to be completely transparent with you. I knew we had trouble here. It just felt that way to me. Especially when you try to ask someone, what is this? And they don't know. So I'm already having a chaos warning, but kids a lot of times do things that are just stupid and silly. and there's no harm to it, and sometimes none of it makes sense. So that's kind of what I was hoping, and I think if you've come here, you might be willing to say I may have some tough decisions to make, but I know that it would be easier and simpler if you just didn't pay attention to this and just hoped it wasn't any big deal, so you don't have to be the killjoy or come across as the parent that's saying, well, why are you keeping these kids from doing this? It's just fun. I'm not going to make that decision for you today. I am going to give you the information, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. The information about this isn't difficult to find. So let me start, though, because I want to read a strange encounter that was emailed to me. And you can email those if you would like, or any questions, rick@burgessministries.com. And burgessministries.com will tell you some things that we do ministry outside of this. Themanchurch.com is our men's ministry discipleship strategy. You can check that out too. And if you'd like to be part of what I do for a living Monday through Friday, it's the Rick Burgess Show. And you just go to rickburgessshow.com. So, and we deal with this some on that show, but it's mainly a comedy show. But we cover kind of the stories of the day too. So this was sent to me and said, Rick, I've been listening to your Strange Encounters podcast, and I have one that I'd like to share. Feel free to use this on your podcast if you like. And I would love to have that permission. So if not, I don't want to share something you don't want me to share. I am a follower of Jesus, and I grew up in a Baptist church. When I was a teenager, my youth group went to Chaco Springs for a youth camp. Pretty common where this emailer is emailing from. A lot of churches use this. The dorms were set up like hotel rooms where there were 3 or 4 of us in a room. I shared a room with 2 other boys. Our first night there, one of the others, I'll call him Tim for this retelling, wanted to play something called Bloody Mary. Now, if you aren't familiar with this, it's an urban legend that you stand in front of a mirror and you say Bloody Mary, 3 times, and something is supposed to jump out of the mirror. I didn't want to participate in this, but was talked into it by the 2 other roommates. After the second statement of Bloody Mary, I chickened out. I stepped away from the mirror. As I did, the other person we're going to call Tim reached out to grab me to keep me from stepping away. There was a mirror on the adjacent wall over the sink outside the bathroom. It did not occur to us that we were also standing in front of that mirror, and we really didn't pay any attention to it. But as Tim reached out to grab me, this gave him the vantage point to see the other mirror. He screamed in terror as we all dropped to the floor. Tim described a dark shadow in the shape of a person walking. The mirror was situated in a way that the reflection of anyone in the room would have been from the waist up, but Tim's description was that of a full head-to-foot body walking and actually growing larger as if it were coming from a distance inside the mirror toward our room. I've never seen anyone as genuinely terrified as Tim was, and we were shaken from the experience. Just then, we heard a knock on our door, and it was our youth pastor doing his rounds, making sure everyone was settled in for the night. We told him what had happened, and wisely, listen to this youth pastor told us that urban legends like these are not something to play around with. He said that these are often used by demons, the youth pastor is correct, as invitations to come in. He led us in a prayer to cleanse the room and protect us, and we had no more problems after that. Yeah, playing around with some of this stuff may seem so innocent, just like this 6-7 thing. Oh, it's just so innocent. What's the harm? It's just all good fun. And sometimes that is the case. And I know that sometimes we don't pay attention to these things because we have people within the church that seem to look for demons around every corner, and we don't want to do that. As a matter of fact, when people started asking me about this on the main show, Monday through Friday, I honestly didn't want to fool with it because there's almost this side of this that I want to study this. I want to do this, but I'd never like being the person that has to walk in and tell parents difficult things, especially friends. friends that I know very well, and and I know that they're great parents, and I know this is consuming kids everywhere. And you may think to yourself, even if this comes from a bad place, maybe it's not a big deal. That's an interesting thought, but I wonder sometimes as parents if we would feel the same way, and with other things that we know are dangerous for our children, would we ever take on, say, a knife that was left out on the counter? Well, I'm gonna let my kid play with it, but I'm gonna hope that the kid turns the knife away from him, doesn't stab himself or herself or anybody else. I mean, I know it's potentially dangerous, but if I'll just kind of keep an eye out, maybe something bad won't happen. I'll still let them play with the knife. You probably wouldn't do that. I'm gonna let my kid keep playing on the side of the road because they're not actually in the road. And I'm sure it'll be fine that they won't accidentally wander out there or a car will careen over and hit them. See, all this sounds outrageous right now. I'm gonna let my kid play with matches, and I'm gonna stand there or just tell them don't go out there and start a fire. These kind of things we would never do. But sometimes when it comes to entertainment and the culture, it's like we won't take the same attitude. We don't, and really what I think that is, and I've been guilty of it too. So I'm not preaching at you. I'm talking with you. When it comes to the spiritual realm, I think that sometimes you go, well, Rick, a knife, I know that's bad. I know playing by traffic's bad. I know playing with fire is bad. But if we truly believe what the Bible says and that the spiritual realm is real and that we have a devil and we have Satan, the fallen angel Lucifer, that is extremely powerful, okay, not compared to God, but compared to human beings, and then the demons, which also operate with him. If we truly believe what we're saying, then why do we pretend that that is not dangerous? It's extremely dangerous. So let's I'll give you an example that happened in our home, since I'm not dealing with the 6-7 thing, because my kids are adults and they're not really fooling with this. But I remember Star Wars was a really, really big deal when I was growing up, and then it continued to be a big deal when my kids were growing up, all the sequels and stuff like that. And I remember my wife coming to me at one time and even talking to our children, and she was like, I'm not sure that the message of Star Wars, we got to be careful with this message. And I was like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with Star Wars? And she said, well, if you watch the story and the theme, certainly fictional, it's really based on, Eastern mysticism, the yin and the yang. Sound familiar? And you've seen that symbol before. Meaning, there's nothing really good, there's nothing really bad, and there's a little bit of good and a little bit of bad in us and everything. That's just the way it is, no big deal. And the force, the dark, the force has a dark side, and the force has a good side, and they're equal in value, and we just kind of vacillate between these two forces. It doesn't declare that that one is more powerful than the other, and that we all are just a little bit of both. Well, in Star Wars, I guess that's okay, but what you have to be careful of is that this point of view is based on a religion that is in conflict with what we deem to be the truth. This is kind of like, we're not as concerned with Buddhists, for instance, as we would be for, say, radicalized Islamic people who want to blow us up and kill us, because the sweet little Buddhists, they don't really bother anybody, and they seem like pretty nice people. But when you think about that they are worshiping pagan gods, and they reject the one and only living God, and they're in conflict with his first commandment that there will be no gods before him, they're actually pretty bad and dangerous because it's a false religion. So with that being said, let's journey into 6-7 and what it's based on. Well, I know, and I already had it on the show, even as I'm recording this today, people knowing we were going to talk about this, and somebody says, hey, Rick, it's all based on some basketball player in the NBA who was 6'7". That's what this whole thing's based on. That's just not true. There was a meme about a basketball player in the NBA, but the meme was based off the song 6'7" and the 6'7's in the song. So if you really want to get to the origin of what this 6'7" thing is all about, you got to go to where it started. And it started with the artist Skrilla. And I'm going to tell you something. This stuff is not hidden from you. You can go research it yourself. I've watched Skrilla in interviews, and he's not holding back what he worships, what he does, and what he intends. And it should concern all of us greatly. So we want to play a clip for you here from Nathan Bentley. He's pastor of Life Point, Arizona. And I like this clip because I think that Pastor Bentley has the perfect balance. He's kind of like us. He said, these Christian conspiracists that, think that there's demons and Satan and everything, I don't adhere to all these conspiracy theories. And so this is going on in the pastor's life, school teachers and all this. I just thought it was something annoying and stupid that children were doing, like children have been doing, as long as there's been children. But he decided to take a deeper look and just listen to him walk it out. It's about 3 minutes. It's all meat. It's everything you're wanting to know. And then we'll continue the discussion. So here is Pastor Nathan Bentley, Life Point Church in Arizona.
I don't even want to say the words, but have you seen the 6'7" trend? Yes. To all the teachers in the room, God bless you for still being alive and being here and loving the Lord. So my kids came to me a while ago with it, and they said, hey, our teacher said we can't do this. Isn't that dumb? It's a silly thing. Look, here's how it originated. Here's the memes. And so I went and I looked it up, and usually I can look up things and find their original source and see what's really going on behind it. And usually you've got a few crazy Christian conspiracists who are out there who everything's evil. And I thought, I'll find it. Nothing came up. It was just, it's a simple, funny thing. It's from this song, and then this reporter did this, and then this TikToker combined the two. And now kids it's a funny thing they do. I was fine. All right, whatever. I don't care. Just don't do it around me. This morning I woke up and I saw a video that wasn't just conspiracy, that wasn't needing, well, if you take the 6 from this word and you add it to the F from that word, you know what I mean? True conspiracy, crazy stuff. This one was just, hey, here's the guy who sings the song, Skrilla. The song got popular at the beginning of this year, and then it got really popular when an NBA player said his height was 6'7", and then somebody made a meme and put them together with a highlight reel. Skrilla is a self-confessed member of the Church of Santeria, or the Church of Satan. He worships Ocean and Ogun and the gods. He participates. You can go find his live. You can watch him on podcasts and interviews. He sacrifices goats and chicken and mice, depending on what the sacrifice is what he says. And he does it so that he can have favor in Hollywood. And he talks about, since he's really dedicated himself to this, since he's begun to put blood oaths into it, his career took off. Now here's something really fascinating. Why does a guy who presents himself as a hardcore thug rapper, where the song is only about 2 minutes long, and it is about sex and drugs, that's what he's singing about. And by the way, if you listen to the song, I don't recommend it, go in with a lot of prayer, but if you do, it just sounds like he's honestly speaking in tongues. You can't even understand him. I had to have subtitles to understand what was being said. But he's speaking about drink and drugs and sex. And then halfway through the song, he does the baby shark theme. Now tell me, why would a rapper who's got this hardcore persona, who's singing about things that are very mature and whatnot, throw in the middle of his song the baby shark theme? Unless you want it to appeal to an audience. And now our entire country has our kids doing this thing and shouting the words out. No, Pastor, you're being one of the psychos. You're being somebody who's over-obsessed with things, right? 6'7" is just where he's from the city he's from. Really. So it has no connection to the god Ogun or the god Tamara, who he says he worships, who he says, if you go in, I forget the name of the bowl, but you put a name with a birth date in the bowl, anything you want to happen to that person happens to him. He goes shot, stabbed, whatever. But you still think it's just an address. You see, why am I speaking this? Because one of the things that was said to me this week, and I've been trying to decide how to reply, was, Pastor, it's not our job to condemn. I'm not condemning anybody. It is my job as a shepherd to protect those who come here to learn from me and understand. And so I'm telling you that when artists, and I am going to name them, like Taylor Swift, Beyonce who has come out and said, when I take the stage, I take the form of Ocean, which is the goddess of fertility and sex, which, by the way, goes back to Egyptian Baal worship. Follow it. That's where it's originated from. She says it, Billie Eilish, go watch one of her videos. I mean, don't, but there's more demonic imagery in there than you'll find in the book of Satan. I mean, they've stopped even hiding it.
And there you go. So don't make the mistake of starting at the meme about a basketball player. That's not its origin. Its origin is from this rapper, and we've already, on Strange Encounters, played for you aspiring rappers in this hip-hop world that said that he encountered demons. He was told to do bizarre things in order to be favored. Satan has used music and rhythms since the fall. So think about this. These are not things. I want you to understand what this pastor said. Nathan Bentley did not make any assumptions about this artist, Skrilla. He simply went and watched the artist be interviewed, as did I. So we're not saying it might be, and 6 is the number of man and 7 is God's perfect number. Maybe there's something there that there's some, the kids are all doing that, like, whatever, who knows? It's not really nothing. Mankind, God, we could have that game and you'd be like, wow, he didn't know if that's true or not. Okay, and you know what? You are right. However, I am not speculating on what Skrilla worships. That's not speculation at all. And the thing that really, really got to me is, because I haven't listened to this ridiculous song, and I don't think I'm going to, but when the pastor who did listen to it says it's got Baby Shark in the middle of it, and now little kids everywhere are doing something that is associated with pagan gods, animal blood sacrifices, okay? The religion, research it yourself. I have been Santeria. It's easy to research, it's all about these gods. They actually have, if you kind of look at it the way it's set up on the core beliefs, which you can find easily. So Oldemar, or Oldumer, however they say it, that's their supreme god, and it's a pagan god. And it's at the center of the religion. And then they have these Orishas, and that would be kind of like what we would say in the truth, angels and demons. And so they're lesser deities. And this religion has practices including dancing to rhythmic drumming, using herbs and charms, making offerings to these angelic lesser gods, to get these lesser gods, just like demons, which is what they are because they're not angels, to go on their behalf and harm people that are their enemies, or to protect them in some way, to have favor in Hollywood. So they also have animal sacrifices. They use chickens. Skrilla says that he has sacrificed goats, That he has sacrificed small animals. He sacrificed chickens. And of course, they also want to communicate. So you've got them trying to communicate with demons and spirits to get their guidance. They interpret palm nuts like you would these coffee leaves. They do that. Other omens they use. The initiation is something that has a 7-day initiation, that a person may become a devotee of a specific angelic being that they have. Of course, it's not. They're called orishas, lesser gods, and it's ugly, ugly stuff. So if you're parenting right now, you go, so where do I land? Well, I would make my decision not on things that are up for debate, because you can justify doing anything by saying, well, we really don't know. Or you can make these decisions on your children being intrigued by this by going and making that decision on what you already know to be true. So do you want your children doing some sort of ritual with 6 and 7 that comes out of a pagan religion, Santeria, or Santeria, and Santeria is another way of saying it. And this includes worship of pagan gods, animal blood sacrifices, omens, mysticism, blood oaths. And then you go, well, Rick, I'm still in. Okay, so the song that's getting the 6, 7 out of it, this I'm sure just randomly thrown in there. I'm sure it means nothing. You want your kid to be replicating an artist that is singing about drugs, sex outside of marriage, fornication, everything under the sun, and drunkenness. And the artist is not hiding any of this. He's actually telling you this is what he does and this is what he believes, and it is in conflict, not just a different belief system. He is worshiping something dark and demonic that at the foundation is more satanic. This is not some Buddhist, okay? Even though I told you, we tend to think, and I was guilty of this in my own life too. We've discussed this on some prior episodes, where you go, okay, I'm not really playing games. I'm not some Satanist. I'm not worshiping demons. I'm not my kids. I take them to church every Sunday. We're really involved. And we teach the Bible inside our house, and all that. So if they piddle around with this, it's not some big deal. But I would ask the question, you're probably trying to do what I did in my life too much, of thinking that there is a third option on being for God or for Satan. And I think that I don't have to choose those two. There's actually this third option that we've created, by the way, in our own flesh and our own minds, where I can kind of hang right in here. And I'm, I don't believe any of these pagan religions. I certainly teach my kids about drugs, sex, and all these things, and alcohol. So I'm going to stay right in here. It doesn't matter if they're singing about it, they're doing a chant about it. Hey, this 6, 7 thing, it's cute when they do it. And, the thing that would concern me if I was making that decision, that you're going to manage it by being sure they know real stuff, but still letting them do that and being intrigued by that, because I know you think it's not possible, but I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it in my own, hear me now, parenting mistakes. Parenting mistakes. There's been times I've done it right, and there's been times I've done it wrong. And the times that I took the attitude with any of my children, I see that they're on a road that is a little bit in conflict with what we believe, but I have instilled in them the faith so solidly, which, by the way, is an arrogant point of view. But I remember thinking, oh, they're solid. They know the truth. And how about this? I can read things from the children that have had issues. I can read things, and I'm talking about things that were biblically sound. I'm talking about reading the Word of God. I'm talking about talking about Jesus, talking about Christ. They were as sold out as a parent would ever think. But I made the mistake of thinking that because they know the truth and because they're raised in a home where the faith is not even in a cultural experience. I mean, the center of our home is faith in Christ. We were not casual about it. But where I made the mistake is thinking my children are now ready to be exposed to things and they'll still not be pulled away from the faith. And unfortunately, in some instances with my children, I regretted that decision because I thought they would impact the culture with their faith more than the culture would impact them. And it was a foolish thing to think at the time because there were certain hard parenting decisions, things I should have kept out of their life that I didn't. Now, is it over? No. Is there progress on some of that being repaired? Yes. Are the ones that I allowed things that I thought they could handle? Has the prodigal come back home? No. Am I hopeful they will? Yes. But if I just done things a little bit differently and not been so careless, it's possible they wouldn't be a prodigal at all. I can't guarantee that, but I can tell you that I was naive to how wicked and dark the world can be and how you can send a child out into this kind of stuff recklessly, thinking that they're so solid in their faith and they've been taught the right things that they'll be okay. And I worry with this, not sinful worry, concern. I'm concerned, and I can hear it. I really can. I can hear it right now. Rick, you're overreacting. It's cute when my kid does all this. It's nothing to be concerned about. Well, I hope that you were saying that before you did some research and know what's at the heart of this. This is not mild stuff. This is not Star Wars, where we're dealing with the yin and the yang, which it's very dangerous. And we did not let our kids participate and learn the lessons of yin and yang until they were adults, and then they could go watch Star Wars if they wanted to. They've established their own lives now, and we didn't treat it like it was something terrifying, but just to watch out for this confusing message. And anything that you're walking your kids through, even if you think it's okay, explain to them what's going on. But I want you to know, and we all know now, what this pastor found out. And you saw he didn't think it was any big deal. He thought it was those that were thinking it was a big deal were silly until he went and did the research. And when you see some of the things that this artist openly says and practices and drops Baby Shark in the middle of his dark, twisted song, and now he has all of America's children, and I'm probably around the world too, doing their little 6-7 thing. And can I tell you this? Do we really ever feel good about some kind of chant or some kind of saying that our children are doing that we have no idea where it comes from? And they don't have any idea what they're doing? It just looking at what has happened throughout time dealing with demons and angels, I think sometimes, and we've seen it over and over again, C.S. Lewis takes this on a little bit with the screw tape letters, is that I think one of the greatest strategies that the adversary has with us as human beings, like we said before in past podcasts, no, is Satan equal to God? He is not. There is no yin and yang. God it is a creator. Lucifer is created. Big drop off. But now when it comes to human beings and these supernatural creations of God, angels and demons, we won't fare very good against them. That's why we need Jesus. Even the archangel Michael in the book of Jude would not take on Satan without Jesus. So we certainly don't stand a chance without Jesus. But we can decide to look to our shepherd who's protecting us and say, I'm going to go my own way on this one. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's cute. But I will tell you that one of the things that the adversary is hoping, and the demons that I think are clearly at the root of this 6-7 thing, I think one of the things that they have banked on is that all of us as parents and grandparents will think it's cute and will determine it is no big deal. And I'm going to tell you, if it opens the door to something that brings your child to it, doesn't mean that it's all going to be bad, but if you make the decision to continue down this dangerous road, you'll do it educated now. I mean, for the love of all that's good, at least go check out the artist yourself, Skrilla. He's not hiding this from you. He says, I put people's birth dates and their name in bowls, and I put animal blood in there. And I begin to do a ritual with these pagan false gods, better known as demons. And I tell them what I want to happen next. And if I have an enemy, I sick them on him or her. You heard what the pastor said about Beyonce and these other artists. There's a darkness and a twistedness. This is bigger than, the old 60s adage, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. This is even though those things are sinful and they can lead to lots of darkness and, taking these drugs, certainly bad, and opening people up to demons. But we now have satanic worship going on in a very influential medium. And music does have influence. And this artist, Skrilla, is not even hiding it. He's not even pretending to be of the faith. He's not even pretending that he's not satanic. He's saying it straight. And look at what we've done, because I see it on my own show. Now, this comes from an NBA meme, but it doesn't. The NBA meme came from this. Go to the foundation. Go to the root of it. And the things that you find there should be very troubling. Don't take my advice on it. Do it yourself. You go find out. And I've been there as a parent. I've been there many times. And there were times that I knew that maybe what my kid was being exposed to wasn't good. And I didn't want to do the difficult thing, and that is to take away something that's fun or something that, they want to enjoy with their friends. Because I just didn't want to be that parent. And I remember having that sense, foolishly, of almost just plugging my ears going, maybe it'll be okay. Let's just get through this trend and get to the other side of it, and maybe it'll be okay. Maybe it will. But this seems so easy to look at. There's been things, that were like, well, like you could even look at the Star Wars thing and go, was that, come on, guys, that was an overreaction. Yeah. You probably could make a case for that, even though that yin and yang thing needs to be explained. With everything that we know about Skrilla and this industry and what they're doing, I'm having a hard time thinking it's an overreaction. And if you let it continue with your children and grandchildren, that's certainly your decision. But I will tell you what, I will pray with you and I will hope. I will pray and I will hope that all of you can handle it, because parenting is not easy if you do it right. but I would go find out everything I could possibly find out about 6767, when just in of itself it represents chaos. But it could represent so much more. And I pray that your children are not about to experience a strange encounter.